Good afternoon, friends. We are glad that you were able to join us for our ACT pre-test administration training this afternoon. My name is Elise Fry. I'm the Test Administration and Formative Assessment Specialist with USBE, and I'm joined today by some of our other USBE personnel as well as our partners from ACT who are here to provide the training for us. So with that, I'm going to turn the rest of our time over to Toyosi, and she will take it from there and introduce anyone that she chooses to.
Thank you, Elise. Good afternoon, everyone. Like Elise said, my name is Toyosi Pius. Again, it's a pleasure to be here. I know we had one last month and now we're back here. But today we're going to be going over the pre-administration trainings. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to either plop it in the chat, but as the video kind of progresses, we'll pause at certain sections to answer any questions so you guys don't forget it. But if you don't want to talk or be on screen or whatever it is, just write it down in the chat. And I have my colleague here, Amy H., who will be so helpful to assist in any way that she can. I also have my program manager here, Mark Holsabes. He's just here to, assist in any way that he can as well. And also thank you, Elise, Emily, and Jessica and Maureen for the opportunity to present to your schools. All right, Emily, I'll turn it over to you and we'll go ahead and get started.
Welcome to this administration training session for ACT test administration using ACT Now. We want to say thank you for your willingness to support students by providing this opportunity. Take a moment now to read over today's agenda. We'll cover what's new, important dates, ACT systems review, pre-test activities, preparation for online testing. First, let's review what the ACT assessment is. In spring 2026, ACT is introducing the Enhanced ACT to state and district testing. What's changing? It's a shorter test. There are fewer minutes and fewer questions overall. Students will have more time per question. The math section now has 4 answer choices instead of 5. The reading passages are shorter. What's not changing? The ACT scale and benchmark scores remain unchanged. Prior test scores will remain unchanged. The test is still a valid predictor of college readiness and first-year college success. Both paper and online tests are still offered, depending on your contract's test option. The ACT plus Science contains 4 multiple-choice tests: English, Mathematics, Reading, and Science. These tests are designed to measure skills that are most important for success in post-secondary education and that are acquired in secondary education. The score range for each of the 4 multiple-choice tests is 1 through 36. The composite score is the average of the English, Math, and Reading test scores rounded to the nearest whole number. The ACT test is designed to provide schools and districts with the data necessary to position students for success after high school. Test scores reflect what students have learned throughout high school and provide colleges and universities with excellent information for recruiting, advising, placement, and retention. Many times, students who are not considering higher education rethink their plans when they see their ACT test results. This is especially true for underrepresented students. To support college and career planning, the ACT also offers a career exploration component to help students identify career options. I'd like to quickly go through the important dates you'll need to remember. Some of the key milestone dates for this administration include the following. Confirm participation. Select Test Event and Receipt Week, January 30th, 2026. Deadline to request accommodations. Test Event 1, January 28th, 2026. Test Event 2, February 11th, 2026. Test Event 3, February 25th, 2026. Verify student information. January 30th, 2026. Technical site readiness. November 3rd, 2025 through February 4th, 2026. Add and assign additional students. Test Event 1, February 27th, 2026. Test Event 2, March 13th, 2026. Test Event 3, March 27th, 2026. Receive test materials 2 to 3 weeks before test date, depending on date selected. All important dates are included in your schedule of events on the ACT-hosted webpage. Here are some vocabulary terms you will need to be familiar with. ACT Now is the website or application used by districts and schools to manage organizations, users, and students for the life cycle of your program's ACT testing contract. ACT Test Center Manager, TCM, is the app used by test center staff to manage site details, create test rooms, administer tests, including verbal instructions, review ACT policies, and report all required test event details. Users launch TCM via their ACT Now accounts. Contract: the agreement between ACT and a district or state for the in-school administration of one or more ACT products over a period of 1 or more years. Administration: each phase within a contract that includes specific test events agreed to within your contract. Test event: all testing activities related to a testing window, for example, accommodations testing or online testing, or related to a single date, for example, paper, standard time, based off your administration. There are also some new users and roles to know. Users are the staff required to use ACT Now and/or TCM to complete ACT tasks. Roles reflect user responsibilities and determine level of access in the applications. It is important to know that all staff that have responsibilities on test day should be assigned the appropriate user role within ACT Now. The contract coordinator is the person with program oversight at the highest organizational level in the contract. The contract coordinator is responsible for setting up the contract within ACT Now and is the primary contact with ACT for the administration. District test coordinators have district-level oversight. In ACT Now, this role can access district information as well as information for their schools. Test coordinator has school-level oversight. This role can manage students and test event staff in ACT Now, plus all test event details in TCM. For ACT state and district testing, multiple individuals within your organization can be assigned as a test coordinator if appropriate. The Organization Invitation Importer role can invite organizations to participate in an administration. This role can access the organization information. The Student Data Importer role can upload student registration information in ACT Now. To know which role to assign when adding users to the organization, refer to the user role matrix found on the ACT hosted webpage. The Test Accommodations Coordinator has the ability to monitor students to ensure that all accommodation pins are applied, as well as manage test rooms within TCM. This role is separate from the Test Accessibility Coordinator role within the Test Accessibility and Accommodation System. If you should have access to request accommodations, you will need separate access to the TAA system. Test event staff are room supervisors, room proctors, and roving proctors. This role will primarily use TCM for policy review and test day administration. School administrator has more limited access and can view user and student registration information in order to support the test administration staff.
All right. Thank you, Emily. Just to recap all of those, I know we've had some questions in the chat, and thank you, Amy, for answering a couple of them as well. The first thing that you've probably heard was that there are some of the things that are going to be changing during testing. So you have the reduced number of questions, shortened test time for examinees, which also then allows more time per question, in addition to the math portion being reduced from 5 options to 4. This does not affect their ability to either complete the test or not complete the test. It's more about just giving them more time per question and reducing how many questions they actually have to fit in that allotted time period. Like you saw for math or English, I believe was 35 minutes. They will still have that entire time, just shorter questions or reduced number of questions. We also received a question that says, when will TCM be available in ACT Now? And you will find all of these dates on your schedule of events. I know Jessica also put that on the chat, so please feel free to bookmark that. That will tell you exactly what day or what task is coming up and when it needs to be completed by. We'll pause a little bit for any other follow-up questions that you guys might have before we continue. All right. I don't see any questions coming in and no one's coming off mute.
I'm gonna take this. I just saw just for the TCM. It's just I answered that in terms of the dates are in the schedule of events, but it doesn't come right out and say TCM is open as a line in there. So TCM kind of works side by side with ACT Now, and you'll see a link like when you're in ACT Now, there's a link up top that has a TCM logo that you'll click and can go in there. So it's open right now. As soon as ACT Now opened, TCM was also open. You can go in there to view modules and to create rooms, all of that. There is no TCM logo. I think this might be an access thing then, because there should be a TCM logo, because creating test rooms started back in November. I would have to defer to someone with more visibility. I'll look in the ops portal to see what kind of behind the scenes is happening as this goes on, and I'll get back in the chat as the presentation goes.
Yeah, if you've not been able to access TCM, please just drop your email and we'll also check it, your first name and your last name and your email, and we'll check it for you because you should have had access starting November 10th. Okay, Charlotte's been able to see her since November, that's correct, yep. All right, so Lori and Amy, if you're not able to see it, please just drop your email and we'll check on that for you. Okay. Oh, wow, okay. I think Maureen is coming to just assist. Right, so it might be a matter of access then. I wonder if there's a way to collate these emails and get it, especially for Amy if it's.
I'm good, especially I think a lot of these are from one area, so I'm kind of creating a cheat sheet for myself on the side, so I got it. Don't worry about it.
Thank you, Amy. All right. Thank y'all. All right, Emily, we can proceed.
This year, composite scores will be calculated on English, mathematics, and reading scores only. This also means that the data file layout will be updated. Due to the enhancements planned for spring 2026, practice tests have been updated, which are available free on the act.org webpage. Copies of the high school report will no longer be printed and shipped, but will continue to be available in online reporting via success.act.org. In spring 2026, ACT will allow additional flexibility in testing. If testing standard time paper, the English, mathematics, and reading must be administered on the first day, Tuesday, of the window, and science and writing can be administered on the second day, Wednesday. If testing online, the English, math, and reading must be administered in a single sitting on a day within your chosen testing window, and science and writing may be administered on a subsequent day together. Also, beginning in spring 2026, accommodation submission deadlines will be set for each testing window. This will allow for rolling deadlines and additional flexibility for schools. Here are a few changes to be aware of for the 2025 to 2026 academic year. Users assigned with the new role of Organization Invitation Importer will have the ability to import organization participation files and invite schools to an administration via file upload. District coordinators that also need to invite schools to participate using a file upload should be assigned to both the district coordinator and organization invitation importer roles. Users assigned with the new role of student data importer will have the ability to import student data files via file upload. If a district or school test coordinator will be responsible for uploading student data files, they should be assigned to both a test coordinator role and the student data importer role. Printable test administration manual, test day instructions, and task cards will be available from your ACT-hosted webpage. For paper testing, shipments will now be tracked under the New Orders tile. The Students Overview tab will feature improved graphs about student registrations, including new graphs showing tested status and accommodations assigned. Student transfers no longer require approval from a previous school. Transfers can be done using the Transfer Student button on the Students page, or can be completed through a student data file upload. There is more than one system used to prepare and administer the ACT test. Let's take a moment to review these. ACT Now is the application used by districts and schools to manage organizations, users, and students for the life cycle of your program's ACT testing contract. TCM is an interactive digital application that ACT testing staff use to manage test center information and administer the ACT. The TCM application streamlines test day activities, simplifies staff training, and provides data to ACT in real time. Using TCM, room supervisors will complete verbal instructions, room seating charts, test timing, and log irregularities on test day. Test coordinators will build virtual rooms, log materials, and oversee test center activities during a test event. You will access TCM through ACT Now. Success.act.org is a website which is used to access online reporting and the Test Accessibility and Accommodation System, or TAA. This allows for one interface, username and password, to access both online reports and TAA. The Test Accessibility and Accommodation System, or TAA, is the site used to submit requests for ACT-authorized accommodations and supports for examinees. The Online Reports portal is a dynamic, interactive reporting tool. It allows users to create custom reports, which work best for their institution, to interpret and use the data to best serve their students. Most resources needed for administration will be found within ACT Now and TCM. Your ACT-hosted webpage has additional resources to guide you through a successful testing journey.
Sorry, my mouse kept dancing. All right, we have additional questions in the chat, and we'll just try to quickly go through it. So if you are not seeing TCM when you log into ACT Now, like Amy said, it's probably an access, not an access issue, but that you haven't been assigned to a role yet, and that is something that we can definitely take a look at for you. If you have, yes, I believe so. Sorry, give me 1 second. My computer is deciding. All right. Well, if you are online testing, you do not need to order any materials unless you are testing anyone with accommodations and they specifically need that. And Elise, please correct me if I'm wrong.
So I think actually what they are talking about though is their students don't come into a brick and mortar. So, Jeanette, what you actually have to do is you have to provide a brick and mortar location for them, or you will need to work with the schools that are closest to them and have them re-rostered to those schools. You can do like a file transfer. Maureen is more well versed in that than I am, but you can request a student to be rostered with another location if it is more convenient. But as an online school, you are still required to provide them with a location to take the ACT test in person on the computer. Does that help?
And Jasmine, if you're thinking about any accommodation materials, whatever test mode that is selected for the student, which should be online for the state of Utah, unless the student has an IEP that indicates they need to take it on paper, your test mode will determine the delivery of any accommodation materials. And all of that is addressed in the ACT accessibility manual, which is part of the resources we've linked here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And yes, we're looking into that for you, Amy. If you already have your staff assigned to roles and stuff and you're not able to see it still, that is probably something above our scope. So we have to escalate it to technical support. All right. Do we have to enroll all the people that help from the school on ACT now in order for them to help? Yes, if you're going to have, let's say, like a technical coordinator, and those roles that will help during the test, you do have to have them in TCM. They have to be listed as a staff member for the administration. All right. So, all right. Trying to see if there are any other questions that we haven't answered. Okay, Maureen is taking that one. All right, so I don't know if everybody saw what Maureen said. So USBE is going to assign the district test coordinators, and then district test coordinators will assign other users. So if you are a DTC, you would have to go in to TCM to assign your other users. And again, if you go into TCM and you're not, or if you go into ACT now and you're still not able to access it, please just call our customer service and somebody will be able to assist you or escalate it to us so we can further look into it. And please remember, this webinar will also be recorded and posted onto Utah's YouTube page. So you'll be able to see it and rewatch it if you need to. Right. Making sure I didn't miss anyone. Okay. All right. We can keep going, Emily.
Before test day, you'll need to do some preparation. Before talking about the pre-administration activities, let's get familiar with the ACT Now homepage. Your ACT Now homepage will appear when you log into a browsing session. At the top of the screen, you will see the program selector. You can use the drop-down to change the administration you are preparing for. The tiles on the homepage are organized in chronological order for your administration to help guide you through preparing to test. The administration tile is visible to contract coordinators, district test coordinators, and test coordinators. This tile is used by the contract coordinators to invite organizations to the administration and used by district test coordinators and test coordinators to accept or decline participation and select test dates. Student information is loaded and managed through the Students tile. Here, you will manage the student's test event assignment, test option, and other important student data. The Test Events tile will give you an overview of your organization's setup for the administration. This is also where you can go to access TCM. The Orders tile will show you the status and tracking for test material orders. In the upper right on the screen, you will find notifications to remind you of any upcoming activities. Links to the schedule of events and to your program's website and additional resources are found on the left side of the screen. Next, we will discuss pre-administration activities. Your schedule of events will include dates and deadlines for all of these pre-administration activities. Your State Department of Education will add organizations, invite them to participate, and add users to the administration. They may also manage uploading of student registration information. Test coordinators at the district or school level should accept participation to the administration. They will select test events and material receipt weeks, as well as provide information about the primary and shipping contact for each school. Test coordinators will assign students to a test event. The Test Accessibility and Accommodations Coordinator should learn about accessibility and supports available for the ACT and request ACT-authorized accommodations and English learner supports. Students will need to complete non-test activities in their My ACT accounts. Again, please refer to your schedule of events for the deadlines associated to each of these tasks. Your state will invite all participating schools to the administration. That allows test coordinators at the school or district level to confirm participation. To confirm participation, navigate to the Administration tile and select Confirm to indicate the intent to test during the administration. The test coordinator will then select the test event in which the school will initially test. Choose the week you wish to receive test materials and confirm the shipping address where test materials should be sent. Also during this step, depending on your contract, you may designate the primary contact person for each school, known as the primary test coordinator. In some cases, though, this will be done by your state. Reminders can be sent to school test coordinators to complete this step through the Send Reminder button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Use the Overview tab to see the percentage of schools that have confirmed participation or that still need to respond. While still in the Administration tile, add additional users to ACT Now. All staff that will be involved with administering the test must be invited to ACT Now. Room supervisors and proctors need access to the system to administer the test. Use the user role matrix available on your ACT-hosted webpage to help determine the best role for additional users. New users can be added to the administration in two ways. One at a time, using the Invite Individual button to enter the user's information directly on the screen. Or, multiple users at a time using the Files tab and the User's Invitation file layout and template. Choose Send Reminder to regenerate the email if users have not accepted the invite. You can also export certain data from the system. This may be helpful if you are using ACT Now to administer multiple products or in multiple administrations. To export user information, select the users you would like to export by using the Filters and/or Search field. Then click on the Export Results button. A CSV file of your filtered results will be downloaded into your Downloads folder. In the Files tab, you can invite multiple users by uploading a user's invitation file. You can download a template of the CSV file and populate it with your user's information. You can also use an exported users file from a different administration to import those same users into this administration. If there are any errors with the upload, you will receive an email notification, or you can refresh the page to review the status of the upload. Once students are loaded, test coordinators will use the Students tile to verify student information, assign or review the student's test event, edit student information, etc. To edit the test event for any student, check the box to the left of the student's name and select Event Assignment. You can select multiple students at once if you intend to assign the same test event for all students selected. If test plans have changed and there is a student that will no longer participate in the administration, select Will Not Test to prevent an overage of materials from being sent to your school. After students are loaded to the administration and you've verified or assigned their test event, you should review their testing format, paper or online. To do this, select the caret next to the student's name and select Edit Student Information. You can then update any information in the box. Be sure to select Save once any changes have been entered. If the student has ACT-approved accommodations or English learner supports, ACT will enter the TAA PIN into the student record. If you are testing any students with non-college reportable accommodations, you will need to enter that information in Edit Student Information on the Accommodations tab. Please note, non-college reportable accommodations are rare and should not be selected if the student has ACT-authorized accommodations. In ACT Now, if a student transfers into your school from another school in your contract, you may use the transfer student process to add them, instead of adding them as a new record. To transfer a student into your school, use the Transfer Student button and enter the required information in the pop-up and use the Search button. The required information is the State Student ID, or SSID, last name, and date of birth. If a student with that information exists in your state or district contract, you'll see a result and will select that student to move them into your school. Both the student's new school and their old school will have access to a school student transfer report that includes transfer history, all students who have been moved into or out of your school. An important step in preparing for testing is supporting students to complete their student non-test information. ACT will print and ship individualized copies of the student non-test information instructions for each student assigned to a test event in ACT Now by the deadlines listed in your schedule of events. If you add students after the deadline, you can generate and print these instructions from the Reports tab. Also on the Reports tab, you can generate the Student Code Usage Status Report. Use this to see which students have completed their non-test information. Finally, on the Reports tab is where you will find the School Student Transfer Report. The Overview tab provides multiple charts giving you a summary of student information, including a breakdown of the number of students assigned to each test event, test format, and student grade. Through the Test Events tile, click on your school to see a high-level summary of each test event within the administration. This is also where you can go to launch into TCM. Within ACT Now, all of the tasks that we have discussed so far can be completed either of two ways, on-screen or through a file import. To complete on-screen, select the plus sign in blue near the top of the screen. A pop-up will appear, allowing you to enter the information directly on the screen. Many tasks can be completed in ACT Now through a file import. If applicable to your contract, inviting organizations to participate and adding student data through a file import can only be done by contract coordinators, organization invitation importers, and student data importers. To use the file import, go to the Files tab within the appropriate tile. Select Download Template to get a blank file with the appropriate header row for the task you are trying to complete. Refer to the ACT Now guidelines for the file layout instructions, such as field descriptions or character requirements. Once the file is complete, save as a CSV and select Upload File to import the information. As your import is processing, select Refresh until it says the import is complete. If your file contains any error messages, use the Download Error Messages feature to see what the exact problem was. You can also download a file with the rows that generated errors so you can correct them and re-import until all errors have been resolved.
All right. Any questions about that last session? I know the TCM thing is a big issue right now, and I promise we're going to try to figure it out as soon as possible before administration begins. But if you are encountering anything else, please feel free to call that into customer service so we have a record of it, and we can also reach out to you directly.
I'm going to chime in a little bit just to piggyback on what Toyosi just said. I actually started a side chat with our manager, letting her know now that I've seen some of the screenshots, and I appreciate sharing the screenshots. It helps so much in figuring out what the problem is. And I actually recognized the screenshot because myself, I was set up in a similar way last year. And so that was super helpful. And so I have our manager is actually on our side and kind of taking the lead to make sure everything is submitted. So just so you know, it wasn't just a, hey, we're going to fix it. I have people like, you'll see me staring at the other screen, and it's because I'm actively working with our manager to get this fixed as soon as possible. So it might not happen tonight. Actually, I'm confident it's not going to happen tonight, but hopefully within the next few days, we'll have that up for everybody.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah, so it's nothing you guys are doing wrong. It's just that the configuration is just probably a glitch or something. And thankfully, it's something that can be solved. So that's good. All right, I don't see any other questions. All right, let's move on.
Next, we will discuss the steps needed for online testing. The ACT test online must be given using TestNav, a lockdown testing application. The test coordinator and technical coordinator need to complete these steps to administer the test online. Step 1. The test coordinator appoints a technical coordinator. The technical coordinator reviews technical requirements. Detailed information can be found on your ACT-hosted webpage, including the technical guide for online testing and a technical readiness webinar. Step 2. When a test coordinator confirms their organization's participation in an administration, a technical readiness test event will automatically be created and assigned to that user in TCM. By clicking on the Technical Readiness Test event in TCM and selecting Monitor Rooms, you will be able to access both the standard time and text-to-speech technical readiness rooms. Each room will have 10 sample students assigned. By selecting Manage Online Testing, the rooms with sample students will appear, along with seal codes for each test. You will be able to see the student's username and password, or you can download authorization tickets that contain the username and passwords. The technical coordinator performs the technical readiness test to confirm the tests launch successfully and to confirm technical site readiness. Step 3. The technical coordinator validates configuration by using data from the sample students in the Technical Readiness Test event in TCM. Log in to TestNav on a device that will be used to test. Navigate through each test section to validate configuration. If unable to successfully complete the test, contact ACT for assistance. Note, for ACT testing, the writing test is included in the sample used for site readiness testing event, even if the state or district contract does not include writing. The technical coordinator configures the network and locks down devices. Note, if at any point the technical coordinator doubts that online testing can be accomplished, the technical coordinator should advise the test coordinator to switch to a paper administration. All examinees will complete demographic information and college reporting choices online at myact.org. Examinees may complete this prior to testing, or they will have up until 2 calendar days after testing to finish the non-test information. The information will take approximately 30 minutes to complete. You may schedule either in-school sessions for all students or ask them to complete it individually on their own time. Each examinee will need their own personalized copy of the My ACT instructions for students and a copy of the Taking the ACT State and District Testing Guide. Complete instructions are available on the ACT hosted webpage in the pre-administration step. The minimal demographics, which are blocks A through G on the answer document, can be completed on test day prior to starting the tests. As a reminder, these fields are required in order for students to receive score reports within the 3 to 8 week timeframe, and they must be completed even if the answer document includes a barcode label. Student non-test information instructions can be printed in ACT Now from the Reports tab on the student screen if an additional copy is needed, or if a student is added after you have received your material shipments. To access the student non-test information instructions, start in the student tile within ACT Now. Go to the Reports tab and select Generate next to the Student Non-Test Information Report. When the file is ready, select Download PDF. If you have added additional students since last generating the report, you may regenerate. Please note, to keep track of which students have completed their non-test instructions, use the Student Code Usage Status Report, also available in the Reports tab on this screen. The My ACT Resources section of your ACT-hosted webpage contains some great free resources to help students and staff prepare for the ACT. For students, there is a link called Information for Examinees, which links to a website that contains a My ACT Quick Start Guide and an account setup video, as well as information to access an online practice test in TestNav. The practice test will allow examinees to become familiar with the testing platform prior to test day. Students can also find more information about the updated composite score in the Fall 2025 Preparing for the ACT. The link to the Information for Examinees website should be shared with students. We do not want students accessing your ACT-hosted webpage to gain access to the website. The link to the Information for Examinees website is also available to examinees in the Taking the ACT document and on their My ACT Instructions for Students form.
Okay. All right. Let me quickly take the question I have from Lori. Are we printing our own instructions for students, or will they be sent to each school once we get that tab? You will have to print your own instructions for the students. Hopefully that's not much of an inconvenience. All right. Okay.
I just saw that in the chat too. So I feel like this might be one of those times that our Toyosi and I learned things a little in advance. And so it looks like they are shipped for this year, but they will be printed by you in the future. So our brains moved ahead a year. I apologize.
Thank you, Amy. All right, any other questions? Okay, we'll just move on. Thanks, Emily.
We will now discuss Test Center Manager, referred to as TCM, and explain how you will use this system to administer your program's ACT test. You may already be familiar with TCM if your organization is an ACT national test site, but now let's talk about how TCM is used for ACT state and district testing. With TCM, everything you need for test day is in one place. This makes test day easier to manage. Testing staff, including test coordinators, room supervisors, and proctors, will use TCM to access ACT's policies, rules, and regulations for a successful administration of the test. You will also use TCM to manage testing, such as creating test rooms, submitting irregularities, timing the test, managing students on test day, reading the test day verbal instructions, and more. To guide you through these activities, test coordinators will use the built-in pre-test and post-test checklists to help ensure all tasks get completed. To access TCM, start by signing into ACT Now. Here you will have two different paths to get into TCM. First, there is an ACT TCM link in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Clicking this link will take you directly into TCM. The second path you can take to access TCM is through the Test Events tile. The Launch TCM button is on the right-hand side of the Test Events screen. You may need to select a school first to see this option, depending on the organization level to which you are associated. You are now on the home page of Test Center Manager, TCM. We will start by going over the ACT policy and resource modules. The product groups shown on this page will depend on the products to which your TCM account are associated. You will only see the products that are relevant to you. Although there is a warning message stating how many modules are incomplete, you only need to read the module that is associated to your user role within TCM. The modules have been refined to only provide information relevant to your role. The User Resources module will contain multiple different resources that can be used to help navigate TCM, including setting up TCM and managing test day activities. The Policy and Resource modules are a replacement for the paper manuals. Entire modules or individual chapters can be printed locally if you want certain information on paper. If you are a national test coordinator in addition to the test coordinator for state or district testing, be sure to select State/District Policies. Click into each module and read each section. If there are sections in the module that don't apply to you, for example, if you're testing online and there is a section entirely about paper testing, skip that section, but mark it as read to be able to advance to the next section. Once all sections are marked as read, you can skip around to review any section. After completing the module, select I read and understand the information. You do not need to read all of the policies in one sitting. TCM will keep track of the sections that you have read. You can pick back up at any time. You may also go back and reference a section that has already been marked as read. The TCM homepage also lists all your assigned test events. An assignment is created for every test event, school, and product. You may see multiple tiles here depending on your user role and associations. Review the details within the assignment to ensure you are selecting the correct option for the test event you are wanting to set up or administer. Clicking on a test event tile will take you to the event dashboard. The event dashboard is where you will go to work through the steps of preparing for testing. Test coordinators will have some additional options from the event dashboard, while room supervisors and proctors may see options limited to their test event responsibilities. To get started, test coordinators should review the test event checklists. These will guide you through everything that needs to be done for testing. The pre-test checklist has your to-do list for prior to testing, and the post-test list are the tasks you need to complete to wrap up once the administration is over. Click into the step for more details on each task. Check off the boxes as you complete a task. Select Save after checking the boxes. Tasks that are not applicable to the test mode you are using to test can be skipped or marked complete. You can return and review completed tasks at any time if needed. Review both checklists regularly to make sure you are on track and to see what is coming up or tasks left to complete.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. That was spot on. All right, any questions about what we've just watched? Trying to pull up the chart again.
I just went to confirm my ACT instructions or non-test instructions. It gets confusing because there's multiple names that are used. And I apologize when it was called out in the chat that it said that they were provided. I panicked and thought that I got this off and it was actually next year, not this year. That's happened to me in the past. So I'm very sorry that I projected that. But I went to double check. ACT provides this via the website, which means that you would print it. So I think that there's just the miscommunication there as far as provided versus printed. So from what I'm seeing I went to check the FAQ document on the site, and it says on there that it's provided via the ACT hosted webpage. So it is something you will print. I'll put it in the chat here just so it's in writing and everything's final. And I'm really sorry for the back and forth on that. Make sure that I tried to help Toyosi, and I'm sorry to bring in that to Utah, but I'm glad that we got it figured out.
No, thanks, Amy. All right, thanks, Lori. And yeah, please feel free to watch this again. And if you have any other questions or other questions come up that you're needing assistance with, again, I'm just going to echo or repeat to just call customer service, because that will get escalated to us and we can definitely get the answers for you. All right, the link has been dropped in the chat. Yes, the slide deck will be available and it will be uploaded onto your ACT hosted webpage. The recording will also be posted there, and you should also be able to see it on Utah's YouTube. So please subscribe to that and watch it. And once we continue with the video, I'll go ahead and post the Utah YouTube page. I think I have it bookmarked, so I'll post that for you guys to just have it. Thank you, Jessica. And if I'm correct, I believe the slide deck is already posted. I'll go ahead and share that as well. Just waiting a couple of more seconds. And that's the slide deck. Any other questions as we move on?
I'll type this out too, but I'm going to speak.
Okay.
Charla has just said, Amy, to clarify, I was referring to the student copies of the non-test information. Will we need to print those ourselves this year? That's where I was saying it's provided via the website. It's not necessary to actually physically print. So I'm saying yes, just based on how the question had come through as far as if the school is printing them versus ACT printing it. ACT will not provide a paper copy. If you want a paper copy, it will be for the schools to print. However, it has been done a lot of places, a lot of schools will just create a PDF and share the file like that. Otherwise, you can just share, like show them on a screen or verbally, this is your number. So the actual act of printing isn't necessarily required. It's just a matter of how you prefer to share the information. But the moral of this all is that ACT will not be providing paper copies.
Just wait a couple more seconds. there's any follow-up questions. All right, we'll move on. Oh, okay, that was Amy. We'll move on.
Next, we will discuss creating rooms. Rooms need to be created for all students who will test, whether they test on paper or online. This can be completed by a test coordinator, district test coordinator, or contract coordinator. Note: rooms can be created at any time prior to test day. A separate room needs to be created in TCM for each physical room in which students will be testing. There is no limit to the number of rooms that can be created. Separate rooms will also need to be created for every test event in which students will be participating. These rooms will be used by the room supervisor on test day to manage test day tasks, such as seating charts, the prompts on test day, documenting irregularities, and timing the tests. To get started, click the plus sign next to Rooms and Staff. Then, click Manage Rooms and Staff. Select Create Room. If you need to edit the room after it is already created, you may come back to this screen to edit at any time. Enter all room information: room name, capacity, mode, test option, timing code. All fields are required. Room maximum capacity will end up controlling how many students you can assign to the room. It is okay to have a higher capacity than students assigned to the room, but should reflect how many students could test in the room while following ACT spacing guidelines. It is very important when creating the rooms to think about the examinees that will be assigned to this room. The timing code assigned when creating the room will need to match the examinee's accommodation in order to ensure the proper time is given on test day. Each room can only contain one timing code. Once all information is entered, select Continue. You will now enter the room structure, shape of room, seating arrangement, desk type, supervisor desk location. Please select the options that resemble the room as closely as possible if an exact match is not represented. This replaces the need to draw the room layout on a printed test administration form. Select Continue. Enter the number of rows and seats per row, size of each work surface, and distance between examinees. What you enter here will control how the room supervisor creates the seating chart on test day, so please be as accurate as possible. Select Continue. You have now successfully created a test room. Repeat these steps until all needed rooms have been created. After creating the room, assign a room supervisor. Be sure to check the ACT policies for guidelines on who is eligible to be a room supervisor. To assign a room supervisor, select Assign. You will be presented with a list of staff that are eligible to be assigned to the room. Staff can only be assigned to one room at a time. If you need to add additional staff, select Manage Pool to be redirected to the Users page within ACT Now. You can also assign a proctor to join the room supervisor. Note that ACT recommends using proctors for larger test rooms to help monitor and manage the room on test day. Now that staff have been assigned to the room, you will assign examinees to the room. Using the toolbar on the left side of the screen, select Examinees and Rosters. If you have students testing both on paper and online, you'll see the breakdown of test type by toggling between the tabs at the top of the screen on the Examinees and Rosters screen. To assign students to the room, check the box next to their name and select Manage Assignment. You may check multiple students at once to assign them all to the same room. You can use the filters to help see which students still need assigned to a test room. A pop-up box will appear showing eligible rooms to which the examinees can be assigned. Select the appropriate room and select Save. If rooms are grayed out, this indicates that the setup of the room does not match the student. This could be a mismatch in test mode, test option, or accommodation, or it could mean the room is already at capacity. If the student doesn't match any of the available rooms, additional rooms may need to be created. A green checkbox will appear on the tab once all students have been assigned to a test room. If you are testing online, you will need to print the student authorization tickets prior to test day. These tickets are used by the student to log into TestNav and access the test. From the Examinees and Rosters page, select Student Auth Tickets. A PDF file of the tickets will be generated. The authorization tickets will be grouped together by test room. To help with organization, it is best to have all examinees assigned to a test room before generating the file. Finally, here's ACT's contact information. The ACT hosted webpage has all the resources you'll need to successfully administer the ACT test. If the resources posted on the webpage do not answer your questions, please call or email us. Please note the extension numbers are different for standard time test administration questions, which is 2800, and accommodations and supports questions, which is 1788. That concludes our presentation. And
All right. Thank you so much. And that is the end of our training webinar. I'm going to open the floor now for any other questions that may come up. And just to recap, we have taken the TCM issue over to our manager and they're working on it as soon as possible. So as soon as we know something, we'll let Jessica and Elise and Maureen know so they can relay back to you guys. And
I
we
actually have an
truly
active chat
apologize.
moving now that has all the parties involved that will actually do the fixing. So the wheels are moving.
Yeah, we apologize for that inconvenience and we would not have known unless you guys are on the call today. So thank you for at least being here and bringing that to our attention. Oh, that's great news, Charlotte. I just love how everyone is helping each other in the chat. They're like, I've done this before. Super helpful. Any other questions that we can answer for you? That's great, Pam. Thanks for being here. And I know Jessica posted the YouTube link. Please go ahead and bookmark that. I have it bookmarked and I watch the trainings over again just to see what's changed. I know I'm not physically in Utah, but I feel like I kind of understand a little bit more just from the training. So it's super informative, super helpful. And it's not just ACT that's on there. There are other webinars that are on there as well. So please go ahead and bookmark that so it could be of a
yeah, and I would say if
resource.
you're new to ACT, the ACT Now website that is linked on our USBE assessment site is just truly an outstanding resource. It has very detailed guidance documents for really any question that would come up. I would strongly encourage you to review those materials. It's very comprehensive, user-friendly, and very easy to access.
Regarding Pam's comment, I would even recommend some people, especially if they're new to any testing system, it's really helpful to open the training in one window and then have the website open in another and do a side by side so that you can just hit pause on the recording, do what you need to do, go ahead and hit play and go through just so you can go step by step with you. It just is another thing. And I also dropped the link into the site that Jessica referenced, which is the resources site. At the very beginning, it might not look like much because it has important dates at the top, but if you scroll further down, there is a video on the roles and responsibilities. There's an entire drop down of resources and tips from how to set up for pre-administration as well as going through preparing for testing. There's a whole drop down on test administration with step-by-steps, PDFs, little video snippet links, and then another one for post-administration. And below that, there are quick links, contact information, help, and then also the last one that says webinars and office hours is also where these videos and the slides are posted for you as well in another location and not just on our USBE assessment page, but they're also posted there.
Awesome. Thanks, Elise. And that's where you also find the scheduled events. So right, any other questions? Or anything needing clarification? Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. I'll turn it over to you, Elise. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. And thank you, Toyosi, and thank you also for your other ACT personnel who were able to provide support in the chat and then even offline, which is super helpful. With that, we can go ahead and end our recording, Emily. Again, this will be posted on our YouTube channel. I will also include the link for your assessment directors. Jessica, did you have something you wanted to hit on?
Yeah, before we close this, Charlotte, go ahead and send me an email. But just if anybody has a question about Braille, I always recommend communicating with the student's teacher, the visually impaired. They will always have one, their TVI, and that is the person on an IEP team who is going to know exactly what Braille code the student needs and the extent of the student's visual impairment, because the student can access ACT via a screen reader, which is for students with visual impairments, or Braille. And I'm not going to know that. An IEP team is going to know that. And specifically, the TBI is going to know that information. But go ahead and send me an email. That's just kind of like a good to know for everybody.
Okay. And if you have other questions or issues that pop up after that we get off the training here, you are welcome to email myself or Jessica or Scott Ross Kelly or Maureen Rushing at any time. We're happy to help you. And thank you so much for your attendance and your support. We appreciate it.